From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
Well, guys heard Ray, the one and only Ray Flores, come with the intro, and you know what time it is. It's your boy, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and none other than the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson. Represent. Man, you know, Jeff, I was thinking about you the other day, man, because everybody, I'm gonna put this out here on Jeff real quick, but you guys have to understand Jeff's favorite group of all time is Cameo. You look at Jeff and you probably say he's a Stones guy. No, he's a Larry Blackmon guy. And I always think of Jeff when I think about Candy. And I always say to myself, if Jeff ever dresses up for Halloween and puts that damn flat top on, I will do 6 backflips because that shit will have me falling out. I just always can picture Jeff with just, if it's Halloween one of these years, he just puts on the Larry Blackmon outfit. Just don't make sure you don't do the sleeveless though.
True story. I'm in college, and Cameo and Club Nouveau played a concert on the Common in Boston, and I was there going crazy. And a buddy of mine that I went to high school with turned around, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And a huge Cameo fan. Candy is my all-time favorite song. And the sad story was I was out in Vegas 7 years ago, and me and my wife celebrating our wedding anniversary. And the last night we were there, they were performing at Westgate. So we were across the city. We took the tram over, and we're all excited. And then we get there, and the show was canceled. And I was like, man, what Larry didn't call me? What made me come all the way down here, and there's no Cameo? So that's my claim to fame. But every time I'm on the road and I get Sirius on and it comes on, I usually take a snapshot and send it to you. So love me some Cameo.
Love them some Cameo. So let's go ahead and get a little serious, because it's getting serious now in the NFL. We have passed the 10-week mark. We're heading into week 11. And you know what? You always got to talk about the week that was. And last week, Jeff went ahead and got back to his winning ways. He went 8-6 last week. I went 6-8. I'm 70-80 on the year. Jeff is 74, 76-2. So that means that he'll be 500 by next week. And I'll probably be somewhere trying to go ahead and cut my deficit down, but we'll see how it goes though in that regard. But it was a great weekend, Jeff. We had 6 walk-offs, including last night, which was absolutely, it was chaos over there in Buffalo there the last 30 seconds of that game, and just nuts. But what was your favorite one before we jump into the show today? What was your favorite walk-off win this weekend?
There were so many of them. I guess, where your hat's got to go off to is Houston. A big D'Amico Ryan fan. The fact of the matter is that obviously Tyler Boyd's got to catch that ball. He drops it, so they kick the field goal. I'm trying to go back, Pops, to a rookie quarterback that looks so comfortable back there, having a hard time really relating to what CJ Stroud really has done there, and the emergence of his wide receivers, the Tank Dells, the Noah Browns of the world, and so of all of them, even though in our action parlay we had the Bengals money line, I'm going to go Houston. I'm going to go the Texans with that walk off there, because the Bengals winners of 4 in a row were rounding into form, and to have Houston come in and to win the game outright, I think that was my favorite.
Well, Houston has proven themselves this year. They've beaten both the Steelers and the Bengals. That means that they hold that tiebreaker as well too when it all comes down to the end. So if they have to play for that final spot, Houston does have the advantage over both of those teams, so that's pretty damn amazing in itself. I will say this: I think the best walk off of the weekend, and I know this is going to be real homery of me, but the Browns and the Ravens, man, that was an amazing game. That was an awesome game, and really, it didn't look like the Browns. It looked like the Browns were about to get absolutely one sided, just like everybody else has going to Baltimore. It looked like it was about to be over very quickly. But you know what? They said, we believe in ourselves. Our defense is just as good as the Ravens defense. We got a quarterback that can run the ball too. We got a running back that can run the ball too. Well, we got three of them that can run the ball. And you know what? They just went ahead and said, you know what? We're going to man up and we're going to try to win this game. And that's exactly what they did. They shut it down. 17 points in the first quarter for the Ravens on the way out, 14 for the rest of the game. You would have thought they would have got 40 points in that game against the Browns, but the Browns showed that their defense is not smoke and mirrors, and they showed that their quarterback just needs a little bit more time, and he just needs to be a little healthy, and they got a chance. And that's exactly what happened. So, great game, great weekend, and that's where we are at right now. We are on our way to Thursday night football, and with Thursday night football, we have ourselves a great game, a rivalry game, the right game, not who's going to draft before who drafts. That was the top 5 bowl last week with Carolina and Chicago. This week, this is for playoff posturing, playoff standing, all that good stuff. So pretty much, Jeff, I'm going to let you kick this one off. What is your thoughts on this game moving forward with the Ravens and the Bengals Thursday night football? And who do you have winning this game as well, too?
It's a Ravens team that if you went an hour into the game and checked social media, everyone's pumping their chests out trying to say, I told everyone Baltimore was the team. They're the number 1 ranked team. They're trending in the right direction, yada, yada, yada. And Lamar got complacent. I think the Ravens got complacent. They knocked Watson out of the game. He comes back in the second half. 14 for 14. You really thought a missed opportunity there by the Ravens. And then in come the Bengals, who we talked about earlier, had the game won, a drop by Tyler Boyd, no T. Higgins. There'll be no T. Higgins again this Thursday. Jamar, about 85%. But Boyd catches that ball. They got a 4-point lead. Instead, he misses it, and it's tied. And then in come the Texans. So you saw what happened last night with the Bills, who are now 500 and in desperation mode, now 30-1 to win the Super Bowl. A Bengals team with a loss will join them at 5-5. Who would have thought in August and the first week of September, both the Bengals and the Bills out of the playoffs? It's supposed to be a statement. Ravens, get out of our way. We're going to 8-3. We messed up last week. The only way I could play this game, I bought the hook. I took the Bengals back to 4 minus the 120. My true number is 43 with the 4, now 3.5 and 46 at circa. I'm going to go Justin Tucker from 47 for the win, 24-23. Ravens, Bengals get the cover.
All right, so Jeff is going to add on 10 cents to the dime and play the +4 on the Bengals. Now, the way that I look at this game, Jeff, is I look at this one and I say to myself that, we have ourselves a very fun matchup here because we had this game already go down. And Joe Burrow wasn't Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow was still able to get things done in this game against what we see as one of the more highly potent defenses. But this is something that the Browns figured out with the Ravens on Sunday. The biggest reason why the Browns won that game, Jeff, on Sunday was that drive in the third quarter where they were on the field for 17 plays and took 10 minutes off the clock. Literally, they had them on the field for 30 minutes in real time. And they absolutely punished the Ravens defense, who then started making really bad mistakes as the game goes long in the second half because now they're tired. Now they're gassed out. And that's the way that the Browns were able to beat them with the old physical mentality, mano a mano, nose to nose, and it's a heavyweight fight, and I'm just gonna keep hitting you with this overhand. I'm gonna keep this jab in your face, and then I'm gonna hit you with the boom, the right cross, and that's exactly what Cleveland did. And by the time we got to the fourth quarter, the Browns made the mistake that we all thought was going to be, okay, now the Ravens can breathe easy. They're up 14 now. Browns didn't blink, and they took advantage of a tired defense. The Browns defense got motivated. That's what happened in this game. They were able to keep Lamar Jackson in check, and they actually were able to keep the running game in check as well, too. So that worked out very well for them. But I'll keep it real. The Ravens defense did let them down. In this game, it's too quick of a turnaround for this Baltimore Ravens team, in my opinion. And the Ravens are a team that needs a bye. They need to get a break because they've played very well throughout the first 10 weeks of the season. But you can start to see that there's some wear and tear on this team as well, too. I really feel like the Bengals will get the get back that they are looking for. And let's keep it real. The Bengals have went to Baltimore the last few seasons, and they've actually made Baltimore their house. So I'm going to have to take the Bengals here to make this game really close. I think that they can win this game, but I'm going to go ahead and be a little smarter here and go ahead and take the plus 3.5 with the hook and just hope for, a field goal finish. And hopefully, we get this one home. But all in all, though, this is the right bet to me for this game because when you look at it, if you want the Ravens, you just got to pay the piper. Pay the minus 170, minus 175 on the money line. That's exactly what you got to do. But by the time we get the kickoff, you'll probably get your number at minus 160, minus 155 on the Ravens. That's how I see it because I think heavy money is going to be coming in on the Bengals for the next few days. All right.
No, I agree. I think most people are.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think most people are again have a hard pill to swallow that this Bengals team, is going to drop to 5-5. There were chinks in that Ravens defense. They were also given a free layup on a muff punt. Tough place to play, especially on a primetime game. Bengals, I think, are 1-13 straight up their last 14 primetime games. But I think it's a prime spot, no pun intended, for the Bengals, not only to get the cover, for the win. The problem is I think they will be the public trendy dog there. So it'll be interesting for sure, Pops.
All right. Sounds good. Let's go ahead and jump into these Sunday early games. And Sunday early games are looking pretty fun. And up first, we have another rivalry game in the old NFC North division, as our old buddy Chris Berman you love to say, the black and blue division of the Bears and Lions. But the black and blue division, it can't be the black and blue division anymore because we don't have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers involved anymore. See, that's how far it goes back with the NFL with me and Jeff. We were used to Tampa Bay having to be the team that had to be the Florida boys going to the Midwest every single year in the wintertime to get absolutely shellacked. That's why they had such a great record against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It wasn't that they were that much better. It's that you got an advantage, bruh. You play in the cold, they play in the heat. So, the NFL has came a long way since that time. But the Bears and the Lions, Bears coming into this game 3-7, Lions are 7-2. I think that it is coming down to a Thursday, Friday decision on Justin Fields starting on Sunday. I think that he's somewhat in the mix this week to possibly start. But there might be some love there for Baronet. But you know what? Dude is good, but he's just a backup quarterback. Let's not get any further along with him than that. You know what I mean? He did well. They got a nice little lucky win against the Raiders where they, the defense stepped it up. They played real well that day. And then they kind of fell into a victory against the Panthers. So I think Justin Fields' job is more than safe because those were two games Justin Fields easily could have won. So pretty much I'm looking at this one and I say to myself, The Lions are going to be everybody's favorite pick this week. They're going to be everybody's gimme. They're going to be everybody's, oh my OMG, do you see what the Lions are doing? Jared Goff is playing MVP football right now. Amon St. Brown is playing Offensive Player of the Year football right now. They're both on another level. But the thing that makes this team go, Jeff, is the running game. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are absolute cheat code when it comes to running backs right now. These guys they're yin and yang. And Jahmyr Gibbs is really making the draft Knicks look really stupid right now when they said, why would you trade up for a guy from Alabama who's a versatile running back who's actually done better than Bijan Robinson over the last few weeks as well, too. So I think that the Lions are going to have too much hype coming into this game. I don't think they lose the game necessarily, Jeff, but what's going to happen is the Bears defense is going to get the memo and they're going to step it up in this spot. And I got the Bears with the +10 in this spot because I'm going to trust the Bears defense. I know we're not going to get much offense from them, but I feel like they're going to give Jared Goff some headaches on Sunday. So I'm taking the +10 with the Bears. They lose the game by a touchdown or so.
Yeah, my true number was 10 with the 47. The number to me tells me that Fields will not play, obviously for fantasy purposes. I am hoping that he does play. I do have him in a spot. I have Komet in a few spots and DJ Moore. But looking at this game, currently at the Circa as we speak, I'm seeing a flat 10 with a 46.5. Here. I think it's almost, I know it's a divisional game. And don't forget that the following Thursday, the Lions will also be on Thanksgiving. I don't want to say they're looking ahead, but, the great walk-off in L.A. against the Chargers, 41-38. I think it's a spot where, again, you get Montgomery happy, you get Gibbs happy, you keep seeing Brown healthy. Kind of a business-like win here from the Lions. I bought the hook. I took it off the 10 to the 10.5. If I had to guess on a score here, maybe that 24-17. That's what we're hoping. Vegas thinks probably that the Lions will score about 27 this week. Maybe that 27-17. That's where they're thinking here. But again, I think that the Bears will be able to get to 17, if not 20, and cover the 10.5 pups.
Right. And I just trust the Bears so much on 10 days of rest, man. I just think that when you play on a Thursday and then you got your game the next week, that's almost a buy in itself as well, too. And so sometimes teams like the Bears, where you're getting things better, you're getting better as the weeks go along, you need a quick little breather real quick. And I think by them being a little bit more rested than the Lions, who just had a really physical game, that's why, I put the Bears in that spot. But without Justin Fields, I know that what I'm signing up for. This is a tough task. Let's keep it real. This is a tough task. But guys like Foreman keep you kind of in a good mood about this because he's playing good football at this moment. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our NFC East matchup early, and that's going to be between the 2-8 Giants and the 4-6 Commanders. And I don't know. I guess I must be the president of the Commanders fan club because I don't know why I keep taking this team every single week, Jeff. I just don't understand. But Sam Howell is a hell of a quarterback. Let's just keep it real. The guy's thrown for 1,000 yards over the last 3 games. He's thrown for almost 10 touchdowns the last 3 games as well, too. And you know what? Everybody who just always is blabbing about, oh, let's draft this. Oh, let's draft that. Oh, take this and take that. Washington has their quarterback. They don't need to move on from Sam Howell. Sam Howell is right. He's perfect. As long as Eric Bieniemy sticks around with him, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He'll be good. And I think that Eric Bieniemy will finally get his head coaching job, possibly during the offseason. And so if that is to happen, then Sam Howell could bust a Willie Beeman and go right with Eric Bieniemy wherever he's going to. I.e., I know everybody's saying Harbaugh to the Raiders, but Bieniemy might be the better fit for the Raiders if you really look at it in the grand scheme of things. But we'll talk about that on another show. This is about the Giants and the Commanders. Sam Howell's playing so good right now that you know that he's about to light it up against the Giants. I don't have to talk much because the Giants know what it is right now. Tanking for Caleb. That's what it looks like to me. But Caleb isn't the fit for the Giants, but knowing how stupid the Giants are, they'll go for the shiny object. So we know that's going to happen. The only hope that they have, and the only hope I have in this game is Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley always lights up the Commanders, but it's not going to be enough. I'm going to go ahead and take the Commanders with the -10, Jeff. This is going to be their biggest blowout of the season right here because I really feel like the Giants have really quit as well, too. Last week was really a great barometer of that as well, too, that this team is just – they're done. They're cooked. They're just through. But I say don't fire Brian DeBall. It's not his fault that the quarterback is ineffective. It's not his fault that your best player got hurt the first game of the season. It's just a lot of things that just did not go right for the Giants. That doesn't mean you fire the coach. And now I'm just going to end it with that. Jeff, go ahead. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, a total dumpster fire. I say jokingly, Danny DeVito at quarterback. No disrespect. It's just, again, he's not ready for prime time. Darren Waller on the IR. The non-emergence of Jalen Hyatt. And what do they have? They have Wan'Dale Robinson and Barkley. And unfortunately, again, something? You had opportunities. You made the decision we're going to pay Daniel Jones. You had a disgruntled Barkley. And when the season goes like this makes you really stop and think why a lot of these teams don't pay the running back. And no disrespect to Saquon. When healthy, he's an elite top 5, top 10 back. I'm not taking anything away from him. But the problem is when the team is not winning, what are you going to do when you have no tight end that you paid a lot of money for? You have no quarterback that you paid a lot of money for. You got a banged up offensive line. Who in the hell, other than 8 or 9 in the box? I mean, come on. Where can Barkley go? So I think in the offseason, they will be obviously in the quarterback chase in draft day. Maybe they move off of Barkley. I don't know. Next week, Pops. It's the Caleb Williams Bowl, and that is the Giants play the Patriots. So we'll talk about that next week as well. I bought the hook. I took it down to 9.5. Last game, I bought the hook to take it to 10.5. So I'm a big Howell fan, big McLaurin fan. Dotson been Jekyll and Hyde 2 weeks ago, 30 fantasy points. Last week, nowhere to be found. Big Logan Thomas fan. Brian Robinson's been great. Antonio Gibson helping in the backfield when needed. Hats off to the Commanders. Hats off to Bieniemy. Unfortunately, Ron Rivera will not be there next year to maybe reap some of these benefits, but give me the Commanders -9.5, Pups.
All right. Okay, we move forward to our final game before our first break, and that's going to be the Cowboys 6-3, Panthers 1-8. And the Panthers, man, it's just it's stinky with the Panthers. But you know what? I said from day one that they were a work in progress. But you know what? I even had a little bit of a winkling that this team could possibly run the table and upset some things because they played in a wide open division. And I really do feel like, a lot of people will probably laugh at me when I say this, but Bryce is still getting better by the week. And he's really going through what you have to go through for your rites of passage in the NFL to become a true NFL starter, player, everything. Everybody's always looking for the instant gratification, Jeff. Always. And CJ Stroud gave you that in Houston. But he had no choice because in reality, they're not giving him as much time as they're giving Bryce, because they didn't supply Bryce with the right type of roster in the first place, because they have a long-term vision with Bryce. What Houston was looking at was, if CJ don't work, then we'll just go dial it back to the draft and go after Caleb or Drake or my man Joe Mixon over at Tennessee. Just names. And we'll try to do it again because we're the Houston Texans. You know what I mean? And nobody cares about us. We're irrelevant. So, you know what? CJ works. Everything's working out. Everything's going great. So, we're going to compare. Oh, Bryce is getting sacked left and right. Well, that means you need to fix the offensive line. Oh, Bryce isn't getting the ball out in time. Well, that means you need to go get better receivers. Because when it all comes down to it, Bryce Young plays the quarterback position the way you want a quarterback to play the position. But if you don't have a team that's going to play with him, then what's the point? You know what I mean? And I know that they're still building this thing, and I know where they messed up at. They hired the wrong coach. You just couldn't get Frank Reich fresh off of a mid-season firing. You had to let the guy go back to being a coordinator for a little while so he could get his feet wet. But once again, Carolina played it cheap. So it is what it is because they're still having to pay a coach that now is over at Nebraska. So it's just really bad for teams when this happens, to where the patience runs very thin for these front offices, so quickly. So, when you look at the stats, you say, okay, Bryce is a guy that you really know you can build with. And you look at the numbers and you say, okay, if you gave him some of the playmakers that they have over in Houston, he would be in a better position. They would probably have 3 more wins than they have. But, at the end of the day, you got to deal with it the way that you best possibly can. The biggest problem with the Panthers, no running game. And I'm looking at these numbers, and the numbers 8-7, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The guy's been sacked 29 times, Jeff. There's no possible way you can help a team win games if you're going to be sacked 29 times. But he's thrown for 1,560 yards. And, these are the things that you look at and you say, okay, these are things that, we know you're progressing. You're getting better. The Dallas Cowboys, let's keep it real. The Cowboys are quietly the third best team in the NFL. But do they want to be the third best team in the NFL is the question that you ask on a week in and week out basis. I know a lot of people always have their hangups with Dak Prescott, but Dak's been absolutely murdering it, Jeff. And I think that, if he plays like this for the rest of the year, Dallas could really, mess up some plans. San Francisco, Philadelphia, you know what I mean? That's the team that you really, San Francisco feels they figured them out. But Philly, that this is tough times. You're dealing with somebody that's going to really challenge you. So when I look at this one, I'm going to just stop yipping and yapping and get to the point. It goes down like this, Jeff. It's going to be plus 11 to the Panthers because what happens is the Cowboys are going to play down to their competition because they're on the road. They're going to lollygag. They're going to play patty cake. But we know that Carolina is going to have a good defensive scheme ready for them come Sunday. And that's what usually happens when we get to week 11. And we are in a week where they are pretty much one-siding a lot of these lines. None of these lines are that close. And pretty much 11. We have about 7 of these this week. So plus 11 to the Panthers this week. They're pretty much saying a lot of teams are going to get blown out, or there's just going to be a lot of upsets this week, one or the other. But I'm taking the Panthers with the plus 11. Jeff, your thoughts and where are you going with this one?
Well, I talked about spending money on running backs, and one of the biggest spends Carolina had in the offseason, other than Thielen, of course, Miles Sanders, nowhere to be found, always hurt. That was going to be the check down. That was going to be to slow the front 7 from the defense. Not even on the field. He's always hurt, and so he doesn't have a lot of weapons. As you said, you're a Commanders president of the fan club. For some reason, I'm always on this Panthers team, and I too think this is a soft spot and a letdown here for the Cowboys. My true number 10 with a 43, now 10.5 with a 42. How can the Panthers be competitive here? Got to play keep away. You got to have some long sustained drives. You got to turn field goals into the red zone into touchdowns. You're going to have to get to that 14 or 17 point mark to even have a shot in this game. Obviously, keeping Micah off Bryce will be a big incentive there. Listen, if Dallas comes in running off of the first half with the Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb, who has been absolutely off the charts the last 3 or 4 weeks, this is going to get ugly early. I don't see that. I think Dallas tries to get Pollard, who hasn't scored a touchdown in his last 150 plus starts. I think this might be a Pollard game. Hey, let's see if we can get him going. We don't need to come in here and score 40 points to win this game. So I like Dallas, obviously, to win the game. I took the Panthers plus the 11. Give me that, 27-18 final or something like that. 27-17 even is a cover as well, but we'll see.
And you know who's on upset alert? Cowboys this week, as usual. You know that they on upset alert. You have to look at that, but that would be a damn shame if the Cowboys lose to both of the teams that were pegged to be the worst teams in the NFL. So, that would not look good. But with that, we're going to take our first commercial break, and when we get back, we got some more early games to talk to you guys about. So you stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with the primetime capper, Pop DiBiase, and the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we will be right back to this.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back with the NFL Bet Exchange, and let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is going to be another divisional matchup, and this one is going to be between the Titans, who are 3-6, Jaguars 6-3, 6.5 point spread, over under 40. And you know what, Jeff? I do my lines as well too, and it's crazy how a lot of these lines kind of spoke to what I was already on, because I had the Commanders as a big 9-point favorite, 8-point favorite. I had the Cowboys as a big favorite as well too. Also, who else? I'm looking at it now. And I also had the Lions as a big favorite. You know what I mean? So we're matching up a little bit. But this one right here, I had actually set up the Titans to be about a 4.5 here. You know what I mean? Because I felt like that this is a divisional game, and it seems like that the Jaguars have had their issues with these games. And I will say this, last week was a much-needed situation for the Jaguars to make them realize that they're not there yet. They're not here yet. You know what I mean? That, just because you've been, crowned the AFC South champion before the season started doesn't mean that you win it without actually trying to win it. And I think last week they got a real big dose of reality when playing against the 49ers, seeing the levels of how it is in the NFL. And I think the Jaguars came out there with the idea that they were going to be able to dominate the San Francisco 49ers, but none of that worked. Nothing that they drew up worked against them. They absolutely got shredded. 34-3 is something that you really, really look at and you say to yourself, we got to kind of question this team a little bit on who they truly are. But when you look at their wins, they got a good win over a middling New Orleans team that's most likely going to win their division. Then they got a pretty good win over let me just get to their schedule. But the Jaguars, all in all, though, man, I just really think that they pretty much lost a lot of our faith. You know what I mean? But they just coming straight off of a 5-game winning streak. They had just had a bye. as well too. So they come off the bye and they got to get it started again. And pretty much this is what happened to them last year as well too. And I'm looking at these wins. They got good wins here, but now it looks like the Houston win is a lot stronger now because Houston has shown us that they're really a good team. So this situation with the Jaguars, you had to watch it because the Texans look like how the Jaguars looked last year. And I remember me being one of the people that was crowning the Titans as the champion at this point of the year. Jeff, you remember that, right? When I was,
Yep.
Titans aren't going to lose the division. They ain't going to lose the division. And what happened, Jeff? They lost the division. Oh, the Jaguars are out of this thing. So you can't say that they're out of this thing at all. You know what I mean? Because right now it looks like Houston's making the same exact move that the Jaguars made last year. Your quarterback's coming of age. Your defense is playing gritty, savvy football. And only way we can go is up at this point. So that's what you see. But the Jaguars know that this is a divisional game. They're going to have to take it a lot more seriously than they did last week. I know they tried to take that game seriously, but San Francisco's just that damn good. Okay? That's what we just have to understand as fans and as analysts of the game is that sometimes when the team's just that damn good, you're not going to be able to do anything with them. But this week, you know what? They may go into this one with the idea that they already got this team beat. And so that gives me the idea that I got to shake things up a little bit, Jeff, because you know what? Will Levis, I was a big hater on Will Levis, but you know what? I like Will Levis. I like the way that he plays. I think that they didn't set him up well at home against the Buccaneers. They didn't set him up well in that game against the Buccaneers last week. Buccaneers were a team that was overdue for a win. We know that. And the Titans just were kind of stuck in neutral because they had to go against Ty Bowles, one of the better defensive minds in the league, who's just like your Belichick. He knows how to shut down rookie quarterbacks. Now we go back into this week, and Jacksonville has some real questions to answer. I feel like Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins can take advantage of that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shake the table, Jeff. The good news only, dog, better the week. Hand me the Titans at plus 225. Let's get it.
No, I like you where your eyes are. I really do. And we talked backstage about this. It was the perfect storm. The 49ers desperately needed a bye week, and they had lost 3 in a row. The world was ending. They weren't the Super Bowl champs. They weren't even going to, get out of the first round of the NFC playoffs, yada, yada, yada. What do? They get healthy. They get Debo back. They get Trent Williams back. Oh, and they just added Chase Young. You could tell in the first quarter, like San Fran did to the Pittsburgh Steelers on opening day, they won the game in the first quarter. The Jags, on the other hand, did not need that bye week. Winners of 5 in a row. Hey, let's keep playing. Unfortunately, they had the bye week. Unfortunately, in come the 49ers, and the rest is history. We'll see what this team is made out of. Lawrence had no chance. Etienne nowhere to be found. This Calvin Ridley myth. I haven't seen much from him in a while. I saw him on a milk carton the other day when I was going to get some milk at the local grocery store. The fact of the matter is, Will Levis came in 2 weeks ago, threw 4 touchdowns. Vrabel tried to say, "Hey, pump the brakes, pal. You're not there yet." Kind of not a good game last week. But again, you probably get a good bounce back spot from him. I bought the hook. I took the Jags to -6, hoping that they win by a touchdown here. My true numbers was 6.5 with the 40, still 6.5 in the 40 at the Circa in Las Vegas, where I am right here. Not even the public knows which way to go here, Pop. So I like where you are here, though. I could definitely listen. Oh, Henry slowing down. Tajay Spears starting to get a lot more run. They need O. Henry here this week if they're going to have a chance. And as you said, D-Hop as well. So I think this will be one of the better games of the week. Give me the Jags -6, Pops.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Okay, and then we got a good battle here. This is a quarterback battle right here. You got the Cards 2-8. You got the Texans 5-4. Texans coming in here -4 on the spread, over under 40.5. Lines makers pretty much said that, you know what, Texans, we know that you're a great story and everything like that, but we still don't believe. We still don't believe in you as an actual formidable team. We just see you as a team that's playing great throughout the first 10 weeks of the season. But show us what you can do here in the final 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks of the season. That's what lines makers are telling me, because everybody else has gotten a very favorable spread against the Cardinals. And we know the Cardinals are pretty much shut down for the season when it comes to trying to chase a playoff spot. All what Kyler's doing is just getting it, making sure he's getting his incentives. That's it. And so pretty much we could probably see that the Cardinals made the smartest move they possibly could make when they traded Josh Dobbs. Me and Jeff laughed, and we even said it on the show that they got rid of Dobbs because he was trying to win. And really, they got rid of Dobbs so they could avoid a quarterback controversy, because let's keep it real. The moment Kyler started struggling and you still got Josh Dobbs on that sideline, you're going to say throw Josh Dobbs in the game. And that's what it was. Josh Dobbs was a threat. So, that's kudos to him in reality. And I'm trying to me, it looks like Kyler might be auditioning for his next team as well, too, Jeff. To be honest with you, I don't think the Cardinals and him are on the same page. Even though they did win that game, it was exciting. The home crowd was with them. They loved every moment of it. I still think that Kyler is rehearsing for the next team. He's doing auditions, and I think that he'll be a very, very hot commodity come off season when it comes to somebody trying to acquire a quarterback by giving up draft assets. So that's something to look at down the road. But all in all, the Cardinals, to me, are the scrappiest team in the NFL still. They still try hard every single Sunday. It doesn't matter who they're playing against. The only team that they played against and they absolutely didn't show up for was the Browns. And we know why, because Clayton Tune had no business being out there. So it happens. Texans, though, they are the feel-good story of the week. That means that they're going to be the team that everybody annihilates at the window. And me and Jeff been watching this sport long enough to know that you got to go the total opposite when that situation occurs. I love what the Texans are doing. I love what DeMeco's on. I love what the everything about what C.J. Stroud has been able to do. But at the end of the day, I know what's going to happen in this game. I'm going to have to take the Cards with the +4 because I know they'll be able to cover in this game. But I'm looking at it as the upset can happen as well, too. So when I do my straight ups this week, I'll probably put the Cardinals down as the winner of this game. Jeff, your thoughts?
Well, my number was 4 with a 45 up to 4 with a 47.5 on the under-over, expecting some scoring points. The return of Kyler Murray. Dobbs, hats off with another miracle win. But they want to see what they got with Murray. I don't know what the contract extension will show for dead cap money. If they were to release or trade him, however that's going to work. I think a lot of Cardinal fans are hoping two things. They don't win any more games. And secondly, maybe it's time for another new coach, but that's the whole start over process. Perfect spot for a letdown from these Texans. I think I said the same thing a few weeks ago, and they boat raced someone else. I'm following your lead. I'm taking the Cards +4. Even if the Texans win here, let me give you a score. How about 23-20 or something like that? I look for maybe a more of a bounce back from James Conner, who was activated last week. Maybe you can start connecting with Marquise Brown as well. Just missed him wide open in the corner. The rust is off. We'll see two great quarterbacks, and I like the dog here. Cards +4, my brother.
All right, sounds good. And you know what? C.J. Stroud just gets you ready for Sundays. But you know what, though? There was one thing that they didn't talk about. C.J. Stroud kind of showed us something that, a lot of rookie quarterbacks have to learn. He got a little too impatient there in a drive that really should have, he got lucky Boyd dropped the pass, because all in all, he still looked great because that happened. But if Boyd scores the touchdown, they would have said, well, he had a great game, but you have to be more smarter than that. You have to be more cautious than that. Blase, blase, blase. But he learned a lesson, and his defense has his back. That just goes to show you that that's a guy that has the heartbeat of his team behind him. And it's that simple. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing that you've already captured that with your teammates as we move along. Even if you don't make the playoffs, you guys got something set in stone there. So it is what it is at the end of the day. All right, so we move forward, and this is the game of the week. I don't care what anybody says. Steelers at the Browns, the oldest rivalry in the AFC. And we know that this game means a whole bunch towards the grand scheme of things for the playoffs as well, too. Jeff, I'm going to let you take the floor on this one, though, first.
I was high on the Steelers, meaning to get into the playoffs. I was real high. I thought Pickett, especially after what I saw during the preseason, was going to make that step forward. I was wrong there, but the Steelers miraculously are 6-3. I bet you if you took a poll on the NFL, who was the biggest fraud at 6-3, I think everyone would point to the Steelers here. Vegas playing this one real tight to the vest. My true number is 4 with a 38, all the way now down to 4 with a 36.5. Vegas is telling me first 1 to 20 wins this game. This is your classic 20-17. Which field goal kicker with the walk-off here? You're seeing Jaylen Warren take over the running back situation in Pittsburgh now. Over in Cleveland, who's it going to be? Deshaun Watson, first half, back to the tent. Does he play the second half? Now it's an ankle injury. It's always something with him of late. Pierre Strong, Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford, Amari Cooper, Njoku. The Browns are rounding into form. We talked about this in August, Pops. The most competitive, best division of football, no debate, was the AFC North. And after Thursday, if the Bengals lose, it could be the Bengals in the basement, which not many people thought as well. Give me the Browns -3.5. I bought the hook here. I'm hoping this is 21-17 or better. I just think that a late Pickett interception, the diva of Mr. Pickens, who has slowed his roll down, there's just not enough there from Pickett, I think, to keep Myles Garrett and the Cleveland defense to slow down here. So I like the dogs. I like the dog pound. Give me the Browns -3.5, Pops.
Well, I don't mean to be somebody being a smart aleck or anything like that, but the Bengals are already in the basement. 5-4, 6-3, 6-3,
yes.
7-3. Technically, they are.
Yeah, but my point was. My point was a solid 5-5 would be a 2-game in the basement. That would solidify the basement.
Oh, you definitely Tigger in the basement. You definitely joke. You definitely BT Rap City the basement if that happens on Thursday. But we will see. We will see. But all in all, though, I'm going to keep it real. I know that this is the game that the Browns have circled since week 2. Because there was a lot to be desired, and the Browns know that they gave this game away. They know that they did because the Steelers did absolutely nothing but play great defense that day. And they got one Greg Pickens touchdown. You know what I mean? I can't stand those guys' last names. They're too close, Pickens and Pickett. You know what I mean? But, there is frustration that's growing a little bit now with Greg and Pickett a little bit because he does not like the way that he approaches the game at all. And I don't like the way that he does either. Kenny Pickett might be the luckiest quarterback I've ever seen, period, point blank. And I don't think that he's going to be lucky enough to get away with the things that he usually gets away with against Cleveland here in this rematch in Cleveland. And the funny thing is the Browns have absolutely trashed the Steelers in Cleveland the last few times that they've been there. So I don't even expect the Browns to make this game close. I expect the Browns to send a damn statement in this game. They win this one by 10 or better. Jeff, give me the Browns at 4. I think that they giving them they being too lean on the points right now, because at the end of the day, the Steelers do not have a top end offense. They're a bottom of the barrel type of offense. They got playmakers and everything like that, but their quarterback is like, if you want to rank quarterbacks, he's like 30th in the NFL. Let's keep it real. And the Browns defense will take full advantage of that, especially at home with their loud crowd going behind them and everything like that. I'm going to tell you like this. You're going to see 95% orange and brown in that stadium. I'm telling you now, Steeler fans, do not show up, because you're about to get broke off. I'm serious, Jeff. It's about to be really ugly in that game. Hopefully they can keep guys for the season as well too after that one. And I heard TJ Watt is having some little issues as well too. Some little just little stuff, but something that you have to probably look at, moving forward as well too, because if they lose TJ, then that defense is done. They're cooked without TJ, because he really makes it life that much more easier for the Joey Porter Juniors of the world and the Minka Fitzpatricks of the world. And pretty much that front seven makes life very easy for him, but it's all catered around Mr. TJ Watt. So we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next, which is going to be the Packers and the Chargers. And the Chargers got to be the best 4-5 team to ever exist. And the Packers 3-6. You know what? You're going to say, Pop, stop hating, man. You always hating on my boy. But you know what? Jordan Love ain't nothing but Patrick Mahomes if he didn't have Andy Reid. The boy plays exactly like him. He's a really good quarterback. He's a gamer. He can put that spin on the ball, but you see how it is when you don't have the same type of playmakers and you don't have the same type of play caller. But LaFleur is still a great play caller in the sense they just aren't able to execute. And I'm just like, damn, you should have won that game in Pittsburgh. They played much better than Pittsburgh did last week, and they still lost that game. So, there's a lot of things to be desired about this Packers team. That's why I said, don't say the Packers are a bad team. They're a team that just really just keeps being kind of snake bitten in situations as well, because this team easily could be right now, when you look at it, 5-4. Think about it. They could have won that game in Vegas, and they could have won last week as well too. And you just look at it, and also Atlanta as well too. This team could have 6. They could be in reverse of what they are right now. They could be 6-3. So that's why I say you can't just discount, and throw away the Packers right now. The Packers could be a team that can make a good run here in December as well too. They got the quarterback of the future. They just need to put some pieces around them, in my opinion. Now, on the other hand, the Chargers, this team is dealing with a little bit of a identity crisis, where one week they're high flying offense and they're one of the worst defenses. Then another week they'll be kind of a inept offense and a stellar defense. At some point, they're going to have to meet each other in the middle. And I think that last week was big time results for the Lions, because they were able to just attack a team that really relies on getting home to the quarterback, which they did not. So when the Chargers don't get home to the quarterback, they're a very, very vanilla team, and they have one of the worst back ends in the NFL. This is why they're 4-5 at this point. And, I don't put any of this stuff on the offense. The offense moves beautifully, Jeff. There's teams that would love to have the Chargers offense. I know New Orleans would. I know that who's another really bad. I know the Pittsburgh Steelers would love to have the same type of offense the Chargers have, but the Chargers would love to have the same type of defense the Steelers have. So at the end of the day, I feel like Herbert is going to do enough in this game, even though this is a tricky game. This is a tough game for the Chargers going in, and we know with the Chargers, if the spread is 3, that means that the game's probably going to be a little close. You know what I mean? If it's 2.5 or lower, the game is going to come down to the wire. But if it's a 3, it's a 50-50 that is going to come down to the wire. I feel like the Chargers are going to be all the way charged up because they know that they left a lot to be desired last week, and they know things can be different right now for this team. This team can easily be 9-0. Yeah, it sounds crazy, Jeff, but they could be 9-0, 8-1 right now if things went the other way. So, Chargers, don't let me down. I'm going to take you with the -150. Let's see how it goes.
My true number here was 4 with a 42. It's now 3 with a 44. This game is simple to handicap in my eyes. The Chargers are going to have to slow down Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I think the Packers will try to establish both, and they could probably run wild on this team. I mean, let's be real here. The Chargers put up 38 points. I mean, Herbert was Herbert, 5 touchdowns. Keenan Allen, keep an eye on that. He's a little banged up. Quentin Johnson even found the end zone. Guyton comes out of nowhere with Palmer on the IR. This game is predicated on the defensive side of the ball for the Chargers and slowing down this run game. Team traveling west, warm weather team go into the frozen tundra. Obviously, if the Chargers lose the turnover battle, they're also going to be in trouble. I, too, took the money line. They need to get to 5-5 desperately, and then to start that second half run. I'm a big Charger fan. I'm a big Herbert believer. It starts at the frozen tundra in Lambeau. Give me the Chargers money line as well, Pops.
All right. And you know what? Guyton was hurt most of the year. He was still recovering from his injury from last year. And when I saw that he finally was off the injury list, I said, now Herbert has his deep threat guy. Keenan can get a little bit more busier on the routes and things like that. And Johnston should get a little bit more comfortable because this is what you wanted Darius Davis to do, but this is what Guyton does as his specialty. So things will work out for the Chargers. I think that they probably have their best group right now in the receiver position as well, too. So, there's a lot of things that are working well for the Chargers, but I would still think that they need to add some more Josh Kelly into things. Don't put so much on Eckler. Eckler has already shown that he's slowly deteriorating. I feel like you got to get Kelly some more touches. You got to get Dotson some touches. And you know what? You got to take advantage of those big tight ends that you got as well, too. They got some of the tallest tight ends in the NFL. They need to take more advantage of those big boys, in my opinion. You got guys that are 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". You got to take advantage of those playmakers as well, too. But if their defense can get home, if they can get home on defense, they should be fine in this game. But if they don't, then this game gets a little difficult. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take another commercial break. And when we get back, it's going to be time to jump into some late afternoon games after we talk about the Raiders and the Dolphins. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into it. And you know what? I know this is probably going to piss off Raider fans the way that I'm going to get on them right now, but I don't care, dude. It's like, dude, we're bragging about beating the Giants and the Jets, dog. Come on, dude. Giants and Jets, 2 of the worst offenses in the NFL. Literally, the Raiders, these are teams that you're supposed to beat. But that's just how bad the Raiders situation is that you're getting excited about beating teams that you're supposed to beat. And I don't think that their approach is right from the guy from Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce was not the right person to put in charge of being your head coach. I know why they did it, because they felt like, okay, let's go get the toughest guy in the locker room, the toughest looking coach, and let him be the head coach. That's like always the Davis family strategy. When they had to hire John Madden, he probably was the toughest looking guy who was a coach in the room. When they hired Art Shell, he was probably the toughest looking guy in the room. When they hired Cable, he was probably the toughest looking guy in the room. And they're hiring the coaches off that strength alone, in my opinion, Jeff. Like, as long as he can sit up in here and cuss a player out, we'll put him in here, because he ain't gonna be like Josh, where he's just gonna whip out and just bench you. He'll just jump in your face, do the Michael Singletary, and put on shows, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna start becoming about him. And I think that he has the right attitude when it comes to motivating the guys, but I think he has the wrong attitude when it comes to how they're approaching the game. They literally were very vanilla. They ran the ball like 100 times on Sunday, and it was obvious. And then you're saying that you still trust your quarterback? How do you trust your quarterback if you're going to just keep making him hand off the ball? And you're just not playing Jimmy G because the fans don't want you to play Jimmy G. I feel like this team is being ran by fans and players, Jeff, and you're not going to win anything with that happening, okay? And the Raiders really got themselves a cherry spot to where everybody's going to feel good about what they're doing because they won 2 in a row. Their coach is rolling up in a Impala. He's acting like he's Suge Knight on the sideline, RWA, straight out of Compton, blah, 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 blah. But that does not conduce me to winning. That just makes for a good podcast. You know what I mean? That doesn't make for winning, in my opinion. And Mark Davis is a joke. This franchise is a joke. And that roster right now, the way that they're strolling around the locker room smoking cigars after beating 2 of the worst teams in the NFL is nothing to brag about. Good teams don't do that. That's what mediocre teams do. And pretty much just had to go ahead and do my Raider rant. This is an easy call. The Dolphins are the best home team in football. Everybody knows this. When you go to the Hard Rock, you better get ready to be rocked. And guess what's going to happen? They might do the Raiders uglier than they did the Broncos. This is a no-brainer, Jeff. Hand me the Dolphins at -11. And you know I hate these spreads, too. You know I hate double-digit spreads on a favorite. But this week, they're going to have to show the Raiders that they ain't there yet.
I think the celebration with the cigars in the first one, and the second one they didn't have to, but it was more of a celebration that McDaniels had left the building. They were just sick and tired of him preaching the Patriot way, and they were trying to flex their muscles, and it's the Raider way. Well, I don't see Jim Plunkett. I didn't see Marcus Allen, and some of Dave Casper and, John Madden in the locker room there. So it's been a long, long time since I've heard the Raiders way, but hats off. They won 2 games, 5-5. I didn't think they'd have 5 wins this year. Never mind 5-5. Come in now with the Dolphins off a bye, A-Chain back to ready to play. My true number was a 10 with a 48, already up to 12 and a 46.5. I don't see a lot of Raider money coming in here. I have the Dolphins as well, -11. Expect an early and often air brigade, and then look for Mozart and A-Chain to do their job. This has got the makings of a 30-31 to 13 pop, somewhere in that area.
And the Dolphins have had the Raiders number 2, especially going down to Miami. So, I just know I'm not doing it. I'm not falling for it. I'm just not, because this is about to be the beginning of who they really are. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you can blame Josh McDaniels. You can blame this coach. You can blame that coach. But you're the players. You have to be accountable at some point. You were the one throwing bad passes. You were the one dropping passes. You were the one fumbling the ball. You're the one missing blocks. Dude, is that all the coach's fault? No, it's not. It's on you, player. You play football. I play football, Jeff. You can only blame the coach for so much. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's an overall stink with the Raiders. It's not just about the coach. But I know what everybody's saying. If the coach prepares you to stink, then you're going to stink. And I don't think he prepared them to stink. I just think that they did their due diligence to get him fired. It's that simple. Teams do this shit all the time, Jeff. You know that. You know that. When you hate the coach, you're going to do everything opposite of what the coach is talking about. So, you know what? You embarrass yourself a little bit more than the coach embarrassed himself.
We're getting close to Christmas season. The Grinch. I mean, that was a perfect lead-in. The old stink, stank, stunk. And again, enough's enough. There you go, Josh. Now you see what you could have had. But the stink, stank, stunk has left the building, supposedly. Be interested to see if the Raiders bring their cigars to South Beach, pups.
You said stink, stank, stunk. What do you mean? The stink, stank, stunk sits over there with the white coat every week. What are you talking about? Fire the owner, as I say every single week. All right, we move forward. And Sunday late games, Jeff, this is what makes guys get mansions and makes guys move into a homeless shelter. This is what the afternoon games were made for. I'm telling you. And me and Jeff used to always laugh a lot about quicksand Sundays and things like that. We just don't mention this stuff no more because we don't want to. We want you to have hope. You know what I mean? You know, me and Jeff come from the old school where it's like, well, you know, hopefully we can win something today. See, y'all come from this new school. Oh, I'm going to hit a 12-team parlay today. Oh, because so-and-so said I was going to do it. And why they had to pull my guy out the game? Stop betting player props, brother. We don't want to hear that. You playing entertainment bets. You playing fun bets. You can't complain about it, sir. Sorry, just can't do that. So, you know, that's where we're at. But let me go ahead. Keep it moving. We got Bucks at the 49ers, 4-5. 49ers 6-3. We've talked about it's funny. We talked about the Niners on so many games this week until we get to their game. You know what I mean? We've already mentioned enough about the 49ers. We don't really have to go too heavy and depthly into this situation. What I see here is I see a guy in Baker Mayfield who is starting to just show how much of a serviceable quarterback he is, but he's not a trusty quarterback. Brock Purdy probably played his best game in the NFL last week, in my opinion. And this will be a week where a lot of us will probably get surprised. And I know I'm probably tripping, but you know what, Jeff? I just can't keep taking the Bucks, bro. They keep messing me up every time I take them. But the Bucks are one of the better road teams in the league, especially when it comes to the cover. So that's something that you do have to look out for. But the way the San Francisco 49ers played on Sunday, I truly feel like they're going to carry that into the game Sunday because they feel like they owe their fans a little bit of redemption after getting the brakes beat off of them by the Bengals a few weeks back. So I think that this is a revenge game for the fans this week. So I'm going to be crazy again and take another 11.5. What is wrong with me this week?
You'll be talking on Tuesday. Don't worry. The funny thing here, Pops, is everyone remembers what they saw last. And again, 49ers put on a show, a clinic. My true number on this game, if I get my eye situated, is 9.5 with a 41. It's up to 12 now with a 42. Again, Baker Mayfield, if he throws 2 or 3 picks, this game is over. Mike Evans' big game last week. Nice to see Rashad White he's not rushing for a ton of yards, but he's now catching passes. Listen, I'll get the egg on my face here. I get the Bucks plus 11.5. Again, win the turnover battle, keep it close. Maybe you get a letdown on the 49ers in the first half. But if they play like they did last week at home in front of their home fans, could get ugly early, but give me the 11.5 and go K. Dotton for the Bucks. I don't know.
Hey, you know what? Last time Baker went to San Francisco, it was ugly. It was a Monday Night Football game too, and it was absolutely a disaster zone in that game as well too. But you know what? That was a while ago. This is now, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our AFC East matchup, and that's going to be the Jets and the Bills. And you know, we already talked about the Bills kind of in depthly to start the show off. We talked about it off the air as well too. The Jets, you know what, man? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna be right about this, Jeff. Zach Wilson is okay, man. He's not as bad as the internet wants him to be. You know, I was looking at the game and I said, "Damn, you could have at least caught the pass, Garrett." Jeez Louise, there was 3 passes that he dropped that were right in his hands. You know what? Sometimes I played quarterback, and you know what? At the end of the day, we were taught if the ball hits the receiver's hands, it ain't on me. It's on you, brother. You know what I mean? Hey, I got the ball to you. If you can't catch the damn ball, go get me somebody that can. That's how a quarterback's mentality has to always be. And I think that's the real reason why Zach Wilson hasn't been able to progress the way that people want him to, because he doesn't demand enough from his teammates. He just goes along with the flow, just want to be liked, just want to be loved. You can't be like that in the NFL. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, these guys demanded the best from their teammates on game in, game out. If we had to go work it out after practice, we're going to work it out after practice. I don't care if you got a hot day. I'm trying to win the damn game on Sunday. I'm trying to get you a bonus, brother. That's a good teammate right there. But when we're just always hanging out at the damn lounge after the game Sunday, drinking it up, and everybody on the gram, that's bullshit. You're going nowhere with that. Seriously. So I feel like Zach Wilson's done a better job of trying to lead this team, but he has to demand more from his teammates. I don't care. You have to demand more from them. You have to make them be accountable. You know, because at the end of the day, you can't keep blaming him for everything if you're dropping the ball. You know what I mean? Oh, we're going to wait on you thought Aaron Rodgers would be just accepting y'all dropping the ball too? He's going to dog you out even harder than Zach would. So y'all got to step it up, man, and stop trying to put the blame on the quarterback. All right, Zach Wilson, you should put me on your team, on your motivation team, brother, because, you know, I can have you right every Sunday. And when it comes to the Bills, let's keep it real. McDermott is now on the hot seat. There's no doubt about it, because they have to figure it out. This is one of the worst coaches when it comes to time management, and it killed him last night again as well too. And I don't blame the defensive calls at the end of the game. That was just an unfortunate situation. Jeff, we've been watching this game long enough. Cornerback PI on a 0 blitz. It's not the first time it's happened. It's literally gonna happen if you don't have the coverage that you need. So a lot of people were talking bad about that situation, but the 0 blitz worked. The corner just didn't do his job. It's very simple. This is a must-win game for the Bills, okay? And since it's a must-win game for the Bills, they're going to put too much pressure on themselves in this spot, in my opinion, Jeff. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and take the Jets, because the Jets really ain't got nothing to lose. They truly don't, because now when you think about it, they know that they're kind of out of the playoff situation a bit at 4-5. Even though they're right there where the Chargers are at, they're not as good as the Chargers. So I truly do feel that when it comes down to it, the Jets are going to have a step-up game, because they know exactly how to come at the Bills, and they know how to attack Josh Allen. They may make him see ghosts, as Jeff always loves to say. So hopefully the ghosts do appear on Sunday over at the old Rich Field. I'm going to call it Rich Field. I like calling it Rich Field, Rich Stadium, with the old name of the Buffalo Stadium. That's when they was really winning football games. But Jeff, what are your thoughts?
I had true number of 6.5 with a 40, now 7 with a 40. Tough spot for both teams. A Jets team that, has to come back from the Vegas trip. Very disappointed in a game that they should have won here. As for the Bills, again, desperate times, firing the OC. It was a full team loss last night, even though Josh didn't play well. They actually could have had the miracle win if they didn't have 12 men on the field. It is what it is. It's put up or shut up time. I expect the Bills to win, but I also expected them to win last night. So I bought the hook, took it to 7.5 in case it lands on 7. I think the Bills win, the Jets cover. Give me 23-17 pumps.
All right, sounds good to me. We move forward. Let's go ahead and get into the NFC West matchup with the Seahawks and the Rams. And Jeff, you know what? Jeff was smart on week 1. I wasn't. I had this idea that the Rams were cooked. They were shot. They weren't going to be much this season. And they walked into Seattle and punched Seattle right in the nose and beat them 30-13. Didn't even, and pretty much you thought, hey, the Rams could be back. The Rams could be doing something. But you know what? As usual, since that point in time, the Rams have gone 2-6. So, you know, the Rams just have had a tough go of it. You know, you haven't had a healthy Stafford this season either. You know what I mean? And your team is just kind of going through the motions of things. And you thought that, you know, that they were going to be middling at best. But, you know, at the end of the day, they're playing straight to the expectations that you thought that the Rams would be. Yes, you still have Aaron Donald, a Hall of Famer, Matt Stafford, a Hall of Famer, Cooper Kupp coming back off of a injury. Then you have Puka, who's a very serviceable wide receiver who gives you that Wes Welker feel where he can get a lot of catches, but he's not somebody that you can look to and do what JJ does and do what Chase does. You know, he's a possession receiver, you know, straight out the Steve Largent playbook. So it's just a very average team, Jeff. You know what I mean? And Sean McVay is still a great play caller at the end of the day. I don't think his job's in jeopardy at all because, you know, I think he got a 3-year grace period after winning that Super Bowl. So you got to give him a little bit of time, you know what I mean? Because he did have to go ahead and restart the team somewhat. But I feel like the Seahawks know that this was a game that they really got embarrassed in. So they want to get this one back. And you know what? Geno Smith played good enough last weekend to where I can trust him this week, okay? And I'm going to trust Geno, and I'm going to take him with the -115. I just feel like Seattle is a team that's really kind of just going with the flow. We know they're not going to do much more than be in the playoffs for the first round and go home. That's it. They're going to make the playoffs this year, but they're not going to be a factor in the playoffs. And I think that they're a team that really does need to look at the quarterback situation and possibly explore going to go get Kyler. How about that? That could be something that works if they got the assets for it. What you think, Jeff? Possibly Justin Fields.
It will be interesting for it will be interesting for sure. I don't know which direction they will go at the end of the year. You know, again, that opening game, they had the lead at halftime. If I remember correctly, it was 13-10. They did not even show up in the second and a half. And the Rams just took over offensively. That was kind of the coming out party for Puka there. This game is interesting in the fact that I had a 1 with a 45. It's now up to 46 and a half at circa. Seattle went to the favorite. It's back to the Rams, and that was with the news yesterday. It sounds like Stafford will be back. You got the Rams coming off a bye, a team that desperately needed a bye, like opening day. Which team shows up? I stuck to the Rams +1. I would not be shocked to see Seattle, you know, come back and then get the revenge spot on them to move to 7-3, where the Rams with the loss will start to get into that where we picking during the drafts. But give me the home team. Give me Aaron Donald. Give me Puka. Give me Cooper Kupp. Hopefully a healthy quarterback back there. And give me the Rams +1 pops.
All right, sounds good, brother. Okay, so we're not going to take a final commercial break. We're going to just go straight into our Sunday night football game. Sunday night football, you ready for a party? Sunday night football has really been a snooze fest the last few weeks. I'm not going to lie, Jeff. You know, I love Sunday night football, but it's just sometimes, you know, Chris Collinsworth and his just just will put you to bed. I promise you that. I think NBC might need to get a more fresher analyst. I think that he's better for Sunday afternoon games, not Sunday night games. I don't know about your thoughts on that, Jeff, but I really don't care for it. I really don't like to grade announcers or anything like that, but I would love to hear Tarico with Tony Dungy and get more of a coach feel like Madden. You know what I mean? I've always liked the coaches as the color guys, not old former players. Former players talk too much, but a coach knows exactly what to say and exactly what not to say. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of these guys like Collinsworth, you start getting way too much of an ego since they put you in this position for so long. It doesn't mean you're one of the best. It just means that you show up to work on time with your notes. That's all it is. It's not that you're really telling us anything. But when I look at this game, I see the Broncos now, they're 4-6. Things have changed for the Broncos now. The Broncos are not the team that, they're not they're 4-5. I'm sorry. But they're not the team that, they were a month ago, where everybody was writing them off. Dumpster fire. You saw it. Everybody was ready to throw away the Broncos after they lost 70-20. And I told myself that I said, all they can do is just go up from here. There's no way that you're going to keep regressing. This team is too good to do that. And I think that was the best thing ever that Sean Payton got in his career, best thing that Russell Wilson ever got in his career, the wake-up call that this NFL thing can be over for you very quick. It doesn't matter what you did for me 5 years ago. It's about what you did for me right now. And they got the memo. And what they did was they got rid of Randy Gregory, a guy who probably was a very sour apple in that locker room. And, they got rid of, they made some key trades as well, too. And they find themselves now 4-5. And they're right there with the Chargers. That's what's funny about this whole situation is you're right there with the Chargers now. And then you got this Vikings team, the feel-good team of the NFL right now. Well, they got the feel-good story. But we're not surprised about Josh Dobbs. Let's go ahead and get some Josh Dobbs history real quick. Everybody says, Josh Dobbs played for 6 different teams in the last 18 months. But you know what? He played for one team for 5 years, and that was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you know who he was the backup to? Not no damn Kenny Pickett. I can tell you that right now. He was the backup to a future Hall of Famer, Ben Roethlisberger. So when you're in the quarterback room with one of the greats, then your perspective on the game is a lot different, i.e. Jimmy G, i.e. Brian Hoyer. Guys can play because they're in quarterback rooms with elite quarterbacks. It goes a long way. It truly does. And you know what? All what Dobbs did was realize that life in the NFL can be short or it can be long. And pretty much he's extended his NFL life. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. What Josh Dobbs did is set himself up to get a Geno Smith type payday next offseason. Let's keep it real. And I truly do feel that, this is a very good story. It's very fun. And, you want to see nothing but the best, and you hope that this Vikings team makes the playoffs with JJ and all that good stuff so then they can have some fun and keep the story going. But we know they ain't going nowhere but to the playoffs, if that. So pretty much I feel like with this one, the Broncos are in the same position as the Vikings. Both of these teams are coming in on win streaks. Vikings have won 5 in a row. They've won 3 in a row. This is going to be a really, really good game. But I feel like when it comes down to it, that mile high energy on a Sunday night football game is going to translate to a victory for the Broncos. So I'm taking them with the minus 125. And it's simply because they have the home crowd here.
My numbers was 1 with a 44, now up to 2 with a 43. People remember what they saw last. Did the Broncos win? Did the Buffalo Bills win? Back and forth. There is some momentum. You can start to feel the Sean Payton effect really starting to take notice. Javonte Williams. I talked about Cortland Sutton. The defense getting better. And in comes Minnesota, a team that obviously most written off, especially after Kirk Cousins goes down, and of course Justin Jefferson. In comes Dobbs back-to-back weeks with big-time wins. Now traveling to Mile High on Sunday night with the potential of Justin Jefferson coming back, which we'll have to wait and see there. I'm following this momentum. I like Denver, who lost a few early games of the year at home. Now we're in November. Maybe there'll be some snow in the air. Dome team traveling to outdoor conditions. Give me the Broncos on the money line, minus 125. If I had to give you a score, I like to rate around that 24-20 game, Pops.
All right. And it was funny. I saw a fan say the other day, oh, now the Broncos loss doesn't look too bad for the Chiefs. I said, dude, it's a divisional loss. It's never going to look bad because it's in your division. They got so many, dude, they signed people to teams so they can know your tendencies and all your stuff from rival. As soon as you cut somebody from your team, they'll go to a division rival and they know all your checks. So, bro, no, it doesn't matter where these teams are at. These divisional games are always 50-50. I don't care what anybody says. I do not care. I've been watching this league way too long for that to be just a square on the peg for you. This does not work like that. Ask the Indianapolis Colts, who thought they were going to walk into Jacksonville and absolutely annihilate those boys. They wound up getting their ass kicked and missed the playoffs. So that's why I say never, ever think that these divisional games are just – oh, they got lucky. It's never luck in those games. It's just they were better that day. But we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about the Monday Night Football Super Bowl rematch. And this is a real Monday Night Football game. These are the Monday Night Football games I'm used to, Jeff, because you remember, if you played in the Super Bowl the year before and you were due to play each other the next year, you're playing on Monday Night Football. It doesn't matter where your team is standing at during the season. You're going to play on Monday Night Football in this game to go ahead and let's look at the rematch of the Super Bowl, and that's what always makes this so fun. You know what I mean? But this is going to be a really good game because once again, we got the best two teams in the NFL locking up. Best team in the AFC, best team in the NFC, locking it up, ready to roll again. Part two. And this time we're in Kansas City for this one. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be a great game. There's a lot of things, though, that I question going into this game. And I hope that the Eagles can really step up to the plate in this game because, to me, the Eagles haven't really played much. You got the Dolphins, Cowboys. Those were good wins. Yes, you beat those teams. Jets, we know what happened with the Jets. That was just a bad day from Hurts. It happens. You know what I mean? No quarterback is perfect. But other than that, when you really look at who they played, it's like you guys aren't playing much. But now they're going to play against a team like Kansas City, and this is fresh off of just playing a Dallas Cowboys team that took you to the limit. So they're going to play up to this one because that everybody named Mama is going to put some money on the Chiefs because the Chiefs have a very favorable line here. And I'm going to go ahead and go opposite here. I'm going to take the Eagles to get their sweet revenge against your boy, Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Eagles plus 125 money line. Jalen Hurts, don't let me down. Devonta Smith, I wish I would have had you yesterday instead of Jerry Jeudy, but it is what it is. Because you mentioned Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy lost my last game for me. I was down 10 points. All I need Jeudy to do is get his 11 points that they said he was going to get, and he winds up with 6.5, Jeff. Irony. But, yeah, I'm going with the Eagles plus 125. What are your thoughts and where are you heading?
My true number was Kansas City minus 3 with a 48. Currently at the circuit, it's 3 with a 46.5. A team – we talked about the 49ers earlier in this show that needed a bye week. Well, the Eagles, even though their record 8-1, was starting to get nicked up, banged up, a well-needed bye week there. Now the difference is they're coming to Kansas City, who has one home loss opening day against the Lions, and then also a loss at Denver. So they too coming off the bye. The one thing that Philly does, especially in the second half and the fourth quarter, is they take the ball and then they just death by 10,000 paper cuts. 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, push. 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards push. They're not going to be able to do that here in Kansas City. And it was kind of funny. The regular season champs of the Eagles and the Super Bowl champs of the Chiefs, and it was one of these, hey, you can have all the accolades you want in the regular season. We'll win the hardware when it's much needed. Now, it is a revenge spot, but don't forget the Chiefs coming off a loss 10 days ago in Denver. I like the home team here. I think it's going to be a great, great game. Would I be shocked if Philly won? Hell no, of course not. Would I be shocked if these two met in Vegas on February 11th? No, I wouldn't. I think they definitely could. Will they? Probably not. My point is, I'm not going to leave any points on the board. I'm going to take the Chiefs here. Final score, 28-27 or, somewhere around there. I think there's going to be some points scored. And I actually think there could be an over. Believe that, a primetime over. So I'll go 30-27 Butker from 46 walk-off. How's that, Pops?
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Even though I feel like Jalen's going to walk in there and be like, Eagles, 42-28. Something like that. You know what I mean? We're going to get some offense because people keep highlighting the under. That means we're going over next week. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. All right. So with that, another great episode. 11 episodes down, 4 seasons. It's we just got some momentum going here. But all in all, Jeff, always a pleasure. Always love doing this with you, man. Great show once again today. I just want to go ahead and leave with these thoughts, though. You guys make sure that you bet smart. You don't bet to just bet because you heard something and something came in and there might be something going on. Bet smartly. You know what I mean? If you look at our show and say, hey, possibly, you didn't like something, then, go ahead and go opposite. You know what I mean? You don't have to go with the flow of what we're doing. I'm just giving you a little bit of advice. At the end of the day, it's always going to be about what you want to do. What we're here to do is just advise you on what to do the right way because we've been winning for a long time. I don't know about you. But all in all, though, Jeff, any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No, like you said, it's week 11. We still got, what do you got? 8 more weeks or so, 2 more months. You're starting to see the rise of some teams and the falls of some teams. Now, does that carry over to the next week? Well, it's called NFL, not for long or any given Sunday. And so when you start to count teams out, that's usually when they bounce back. So be careful of counting the Bills out. Be careful of counting the Bengals out. And be careful of jumping back on teams because they look great for 60 minutes. And so always stay in your lanes. If this is pure entertainment, we'll set a budget. If it's $50 a week, it's $100 a week, fine. Pops talked about the prop market, the player props. If that's where you're all happy with, well, God bless you. But for us, it's about investing. It's about assets. It's about futures. It's about really, trying to grind every day. And of course, trying to profit at the end of the day. So as always, Pop, a blessing, honored to be a part, and we'll be ready next Tuesday.
All right, man. So there it is. And it is a wrap on today's show. And this is the NFL Bet Exchange. I'm your host from the West Coast, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and our host in the East Coast, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And we are gone.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets